Alright. Welcome, everybody, to Activate Your Power Now True series in Johnson County at TLA Nutrition on Johnson Drive in Shawnee, Kansas. And today's topic is true peace. And we knew it was going to be a good topic. I've had people just hot on this topic all year waiting for today. But we know with peace comes challenge. So, leading up to this topic, everybody, it seems like, at least in my circle, is going through some type of challenge right now. So what a great opportunity for us to make space and hold space and help people really stay, remain, or find that true peace in their life today. So guys, go ahead and open us up with a prayer.
If you feel comfortable, I invite everybody to close their eyes. Take a deep breath. Peace. Be all around. We wear your name like a crown. Planting your seeds into this ground. Rejoicing in your fruit so freely given. We thank you for guiding us on our mission, for leading us into our vision, for helping us to truly listen. For the truth of who we are is bestowed in the chamber of our hearts. With you on our side, we know we will never miss our mark. You have always been there in love from the start. So it is.
Thank you.
So today, is holding space for true peace to enter our lives. I want to ask a question. Is peace a choice? Show of hands if you believe peace is a choice. So how many people are choosing peace when they wake up every single day? Because peace to me is also a term that's very elusive, that sometimes we have it, sometimes we don't. So it's a question of how and why don't we are not, if it's a choice, why are we not in peace all the time? What's stopping us from being in peace 24/7 if it's a choice? See, that's the question we have to really ask ourselves, because from my own reflection and my own understanding, life experience is the biggest thing that steals our peace is worry. Worrying about so many things in our lives that regardless of whether we worried about it or not, we still have to walk, we still have to live, we still have to be. And situations are going to unfold the way they're going to unfold. So we're spending all this extra mental energy on things that don't really matter, because life is going to be life, regardless of whether we worried about it or not. So like this thinking about this and really reflecting on it is like one of those things where we bring into situations our personal preference based off how we were fed information as a kid from society, based off expectations, like how we see ourselves, how we expect to see life, how we expect to approach situations and experiences. And when things don't go the way we expect, now it causes resistance, which leads to worrying about how in the future we can control situations to match how we believe that situation should be in our lives. That creates worry. It creates that extra analysis that leads to paralysis, or leads to trying to control situations that don't need to be controlled.
Right.
So now we're sitting and asking ourselves, why I do everything I can to make sure that I avoid situations that bring me fear, or I avoid situations that bring me discomfort, or I avoid situations that bring me possible pain, and yet I still find myself in situations that are bringing me those exact feelings. Right. And I'm spending all my time worrying about trying to, what can I do to make sure that these situations don't happen in my life? So even if situation is not happening, you're worrying about it. So even if you're not in direct danger, you're worrying about you being in direct danger possibly. So trying to put situations in an alignment so you can avoid any type of possibility of that happening again. So you're always worrying. Back in your mind is always something to worry about, whether you have enough money, whether people like you, whether if you show up in a situation, are they going to say something about you? It's always something to worry about, which is it's always stealing your peace. So how can we bring ourselves back to ourselves and claim our peace regardless of external situations? So today we're going to open that up and see what our speakers have to say about what true peace means to them, and how they found peace.
I want to add real quick onto what James just said. That's the importance of an intentional life journey. When you choose intentionality, you're choosing a practice of doing life on purpose, with purpose. And like you hear me say over and over, it's when you make that why in your life bigger than your past traumas, bigger than your generational cycles, and bigger through whatever you are currently going through or what other people are saying or doing. So it's, we do have a workshop, I'll say real quick, and we help people who are already on that journey or have no idea that journey option even exists in their life, to help them create that power path process intentionally. So that's just slapping that why behind everything you say, do, behind all your senses. Slap a why behind it. I'm experiencing this for a reason, and I'm open to hear and see what that reason is. Lord. Show me, or whoever you meditate and pray to. Ask for clearance, for clarity, and it's there in front of you already. So I just want everybody who's looking for that peace in their life, or worried about how much they're worrying. Please reach out. We would love to connect, and we would love to take that next best step with you. Our first speaker today is someone who I met when I first learned that I was going to be sharing my story and my intentionality journey. And she helped me with my first business, Gigi's Natural Hippie Essentials, create that website. And we connected, and it was all great stuff. I was going through things. She was going through things. We were both being called to something bigger we didn't understand. And we spent a little time apart while we were figuring that out. But just in due time, we were brought back together with a new insight of what intentional living looked like and felt like, and what we were experiencing in this practice. And it was just so beautiful, right, as we connect with people who are on a similar journey of healing and are serious about it. So I just want to welcome our first speaker, Christina Williams. Are you going to stand or sit? Okay, perfect.
Thank you, Izzy and James, for the lovely introductions. I am so happy and super excited to be here and speaking, all this peace, love, and light to each and every one of you. I just want to start off with just saying, me just sitting here, taking a look around at all of my surroundings and my environment and all the lovely faces that I see out there. It just brings me so much joy, right? Because you guys could have been doing anything else, right? But here you are in my presence and listening to me speak. And I just take that as such a beautiful gift, right? Because again, you guys didn't have to be here. You guys chose, you made that decision to be here, just as I did myself. And that's what's so beautiful about the present moment, is that I can just sit here and I can look out into this crowd and I can take the time to sense with my body, right? And just listen to the words that all of my fellow speakers have to say, as well as the lovely founders of AYPN, of just what we do and what we're doing here and what we're trying to move forward with, and all of the things seeing your guys' beautiful faces, hearing all these just beautiful things. They immerse me so completely in the present moment, because literally I'm just sitting here, you know, looking at your guys' eyes and your guys' faces and all the lovely drinks that we're enjoying here, and they're all a part of this present moment. And I'm just so happy to be here with you all. For me, true peace, this is only my third speech with AYPN, and I'm just, you know, again, super happy to be here for a third one. What I typically do when I do speeches is I typically do some research prior to, you know, coming here. Like, I kind of get my mind jogging about what the topic is that we're going to be talking about. So one of the last ones was the power of will, and of course today it's true peace. And so this last time I'm doing my research about true peace, and I'm kind of just trying to jog my brain. Clearly we all know what our peace is, right? But sometimes we like to, you know, seek out from external sources, you know, in a sense, like a validation of like, well, what is, you know, true peace, or what is my power of will? Because I feel like when you're living your life, it can make it so easy to get lost in all of the other things that you kind of forget. But really, kind of like Izzy and James were saying, is like all the answers are really within you as far as how your peace goes. And there is not one set of, like, I can't just give you the answer of what true peace is. And I can't give you the answer of what true peace is, because true peace is different for each and every one of us. And it is different for each and every one of us because we have different interests. You know, we like different things that bring us joy. And I think that sometimes people forget that, you know, they have friends and they want to be immersed with their friends and like have a good time with their friends. But sometimes they're left feeling like empty, even though they're hanging out with maybe a certain group of friends or maybe a family member and, you know, all these things. And they're still like left to feel empty about it. And so with that, a huge thing, once again, James and Izzy kind of have already wrapped up what true peace is. It's all these like happiness and things like that. But it's like, how do I structure that for myself, right? Because again, peace can just look in so many different ways for so many different people. So how does that look like for me? And how is it that I'm going to structure that for myself? And so what I would say, how to structure yourself and set yourself up for your own inner peace is to really just do a lot of self-reflecting, like consistent self-reflecting. Over this I've been on a journey these last 4 years to try and find like my peace and the things that make me happy and the things that don't make me happy. Even like, you know, you're kind of testing all these things in life of like, what does make me happy, what brings me down, what changes my mood. And with those, that's why they tell you that life is such a huge lesson, because it's teaching you the things that you do and that you don't want to be involved in. So the things that do and do not bring you peace. And you know, it can be more than just, you know, family and friends. It can be the environments that we immerse ourselves in. It can be, you know, the home that we live in, the even like the state that we live in, or the places that we frequent all the time. Again, all these things of deciding to get into the car and go visit these friends or go visit these environments or to go do whatever it is, at the end of the day, you're making a choice. Yeah. You guys are making decisions every single day. And I don't think that sometimes we stop to think that that's really what we are doing. Is every minute of every single day, every conversation that we have with people, and every single time that we're walking in an environment, whether that's just, you know, going to the grocery store and grocery shopping, you know, living in your true peace is really just doing the things, because your body is a meter, right? And your body will feel uncomfortable in conversations and environments that you shouldn't be in, or that your body is screaming in a sense to get out of. So what I mean about that self-reflection is what I personally like to do, and what's really helped me create my own inner peace and helped me reflect on, okay, this is a lot, because there are so many topics, right? So we're talking family, we're talking career, we're talking the environments we go to. There's just so many things that people feel like, it's overwhelming. It's like, again, like, how do I structure this? And some people don't understand that really what you might be missing is taking that time and setting that time aside for yourself for that peace to happen. Really, it is some people that's really what it is that they're missing just setting aside that time to reflect. And what I've started doing is I've started reflecting on myself, not only on a monthly basis, but like a quarterly basis and a yearly basis, just based off of the things that I feel are necessary for those times. Because not everything do you have to check every month, not everything do you have to check quarterly. And not that I'm sitting here trying to necessarily give you guys a lecture, I'm just really letting you guys know that gathering these things and writing them down, not necessarily it having to be a serious, document or homework or assignment, just, journaling and writing down the things. Okay, well, I went, to this environment and this person made me feel this way, and, or this person made me feel the other way, or, maybe I don't like this environment so much because afterwards I start feeling so down on myself. And just things like that, because again, at the end of the day, it's all in the choices that you make of like, what am I going to do new or different the next time now that I've had this self-reflection. Okay, so I see that sometimes I go out with my friends and I had promised myself, that I was going to have one cheat day a week. And, I love these friends, but maybe they're not as good of an influence because I give them that one day and I let them know my boundaries of, I am only going to have this one day of cheat day. And then because I know that if I don't, it's going to just continue to snowball into my next day and things like that. But they're not okay with your boundaries. Right? So that's something that I would put in my self-reflection is, well, my friend, didn't take it very well, that I didn't necessarily want to do what they asked me to do. And they were not it was to a point where they were not making me feel comfortable. And, everybody in the environment seemed to, be on their side, or, I kind of felt like left out. When I go back to reflect on that would give me the signal of maybe that's somewhere that I don't need to frequent anymore. And maybe I have to go somewhere else where I do feel good. And again, that's the first thing I stated when I came up here. I stated that I love seeing every single face here at TLA Nutrition, just because it's somewhere that I have frequented. And every single time that I frequented here, I've met lovely, beautiful faces that have, held no judgment towards me whatsoever, in the sense of just like, I feel comfortable being open. I feel comfortable speaking up about my life and the things that I've been through and the things that I've done to try kind of like to adjust my life to what I am wanting. And the thing is, sometimes people are scared to want to make those changes just because it would mean needing to explore somewhere new. It would be needing to explore new friendships, new relationships, and some people are kind of also stuck like, with like the whole family situation sometimes. And they're like, well, they're family and I can't let them go. And, they've been there for me. But the thing is, if they really are keeping you in a state where you can't move forward in your own life, because at the end of the day, your own peace is what's going to get you through your life. And that's why I said that prioritizing myself prioritizes my peace, because if I'm not good, if I'm not feeling good about an environment or about people that I hang out with, then I don't see that going long term. And why would you want to continue participating and putting your energy and your love and your light and your hard work into something that you don't see, going long term? So basically, to kind of wrap it up, I kind of just want to talk about different types of people in the world, and maybe, figuring out who you are might help you kind of realign yourself to your own inner peace. I feel like there are people that are doers, okay? And doers don't stop. And I'm actually a mix of both, and we'll talk about it in a second, but doers just keep on going. They feel like, I feel like they're the ones that worry about the future. Like, if I don't get this done, I'm not going to get the promotion. If I don't do this, I'm not going to get to the next step. If I don't do this, to the point where they can't breathe. And doers, are so stuck in where am I going to see myself in the future, and like worrying so much about the future that they don't stop again to get that rest and that peace. And then the other side of of people, which again is something that I've gone through and that I still struggle with myself, are the thinkers. So as thinkers, we're stuck in the past. And thinkers kind of get stuck in our mental about things that maybe we could have done or should have done or wish we would have done. And I can't even begin to start to tell you how much waste of energy that really is, because the third type of person is a person that lives in the present moment. And that is someone that I'm striving to be, is someone that lives in that present moment, because you are here in the now, experiencing. And I'm sitting here looking at each and every one of your guys' faces. And once I hop off of this stream, I'm going to enjoy my TLA nutrition and experience every single moment of just sipping up my lovely drink and just being in a lovely environment. And honestly, having every single one of you guys cheer me on, because that's exactly what's going to happen, because we're here and we're here to cheer every single one of us on. And I just hope that what I said and like me speaking up and me being here is going to do something for you guys. And I really hope that you guys enjoyed that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me here.
Well, she came with some information that I think everybody can take at least one takeaway from. I took it took up my whole page. I took a lot of things away, a lot of great nuggets. If you're truly seeking true peace, you gave us a lot of golden nuggets on some tweaks maybe, or some things we just haven't thought about yet, hasn't been placed in front of us as an option. So thank you, Christina. It was great. Jane, I'll let you share a little something on that.
Yeah, thank you again. Just dropping nuggets and dropping jewels in general. One thing that really stuck out to me was your body is a meter, and it's a self-reflection, right, of your past and your present, right? And one thing that came to me was like, we see this right here, this tool. What is it?
Pen.
It's a pen, right? It's a pen. We all use it as a pen. But say, for example, when you were in third grade and Johnny stabbed you with this pen, or if you were in college and somebody wrote something on your face with this pen. Now, every time you see this exact pen, it may bring up something else other than just being a pen. So now it's like you try to control your environment by getting rid of these pens, or avoid situations where these pens might be there, right? And that's always bringing you to a state of worrying, because these pens are everywhere. Pens are everywhere. So you can't avoid pens. So it's like I try to control the situation so I can not put myself in experiences that it's going to bring that memory back up of a bad time.
Maybe
Right.
we weren't the cause, but it's our responsibility.
Yeah.
Right. So you also said giving yourself time to actually allow peace to enter your life. So it's like with this now, it's like maybe instead of avoiding situations, I can sit with it and allow the energy of peace to permeate my body. And through acceptance and forgiveness, now I can let go of the past projection I had around this pen and just see it as it is, a pen. And approach it with clear seeing. See, there's so many situations and experience in our life that we bring past baggage into situations, and now we're seeing it with a taint. So it's not really what it is. We're just projecting old memories onto situations, and now we're seeing it totally different. It's not a pen. It's that utensil that he stabbed me with, or now it's bringing shame because now somebody wrote something on my face because I was passed out. So that's how you see situations and experiences in your life. So it's like, how can we get clear seeing and see things as they are without past baggage corrupting that image? And then from there, that will bring greater peace into our lives, because peace is always in the background. It's always in the background. In every situation, there's an opportunity for us to find peace, but it's up to us to choose it. So
I'm gonna, like I always say, I don't run out of things to say, people. Don't worry. You know, to add to that as well of what Christina said was, I had to note this for myself when she talked about tracking your thoughts and your emotions. And I know that's very cliche since I've entered this world of intentionality, and I'm meeting people who are intentional and have coaches or are coaches and everything. And I know you hear a lot of tracking things. It's very important, but she touched on something that I think a lot of us who still do the works but haven't fully surrendered to the process, to that truth piece, and that is be truthful in your reflection. Be truthful, because we will lie to ourselves, guys. We will lie to ourselves while we're journaling. Oh, it was good. Why? Because you got through the day? Because you survived? Yeah, that's gratitude, right? Oh, it was a good day. But if you want true peace in your life, declare your day what it actually was. Life is hard. Fucking suck today. But you know what? That's not my declaration. That's what is. This happened, this happened, this happened. This is how I felt because this happened. Because I have a practice of surrender. Although I don't understand today why I'm surrendering. I can't see the big picture there. But I made a dedication to the surrender to truth. And with that surrender and that truth in your journal, you can now say, but I declare to be peace. This happened, but because I'm peace, all that just got peace sprinkled all over us. Not only do we get to move forward in the next step of peace, but guess what? So do the other people on the other side of that day, that true day. So journal, yes, track. I started my practice of that in my intentionality journey in 2017, but it wasn't until 2020 that I realized that I was lying to myself in a lot of those pages. So be truthful with your emotions, be truthful with your thoughts. And we go back to that, I've said it plenty of times, feel the feeling, choose the behavior. You have the right to feel, don't disown it. Feel it. Feel it. The next speaker we're going to bring up is going to be a perfect segue to these true feelings, owning, declaring what truly is, but taking it and utilize it to serve and help other people so that they're not lost in their journey. See, when you've been lost before, and then you find intentionality and you go out there and be that peace regardless, you can't help but have a desire to want to share that with other people in any way that you're called to share it. And our next speaker, Stephanie, is exactly that. She has a movement and a radio show, a talk show. I'm drawing a blank right now, but Love Misunderstood. I'm so sorry. I've been a guest numerous times in the last couple of years. But Love Misunderstood, and it's about bullying. And since I met her the first time in 2021 or 2021, and I was interviewed on her show, I was newly on my intentional journey. I wasn't a speaker yet. She gave some clarity to me on a lot of things that I didn't even know existed. I didn't know yet that I was a bully. I knew it, I guess, but I wasn't ready to be truthful in my journal about it. And because of her dedication to her truth and her missions, she helped spark that awareness and accountability within me. And now I get to be more intentional on my walk to make sure that I don't misunderstand love. I don't bring my past into my present when I see a pain. That hurt me when I was younger. So you guys are about to be blessed. Some more. Please welcome Stephanie.
Hi, everybody. I feel so wonderful being here and so welcomed by everybody. This is National Bullying Prevention Month, and my phone, set on my phone. This is National Bullying Prevention Month, and so our organization, Love Misunderstood Institute, is doing a lot of things to educate about bullying. A lot of people that I've spoken to do not know what bullying really is. So I want to define that first. And I am going to talk about peace, but first I need to talk about bullying. So bullying is any coercive, controlled, unwanted, repetitive behavior. So many adults, when I mention bullying, say children. Adults bully too. And I say that the sooner adults own up to it and admit that they do bully, the quicker we can help our children and other children. So first of all, I want to say peace. Peace is what I desired. I have been bullied for most of my life. I watched my son be bullied. I experienced my son being bullied in school. I took him and homeschooled him. I have a son and a daughter. He's the oldest. But I took him out of school so that I could homeschool him to keep him out of that environment. I desired peace. We desired peace. So after a year of homeschooling, we put him in a private school for 1 year. His classmate, the year he was being bullied, they were 12 years old. She was being bullied by the teachers and the students as well as he was. She had no support at home, so it's huge for me to get adults to understand that they bully too, so that they can deal with the trauma and help the children. This child, 12 years old, had no support at home, and she committed suicide. So I knew at that point that I had to get my life together. And I didn't really know what that looked like at the time. But I just knew that my son committing suicide was not an option. I desired peace. And I'm going to keep saying that because that is what we desire, peace. So in order for me to help him, like I said, I had to get my life together. So I had to figure out ways that I can help him and learn to encourage him so that when he went to school, he was able to endure what he had to endure until he came home. I want to say also that I built a line of communication with him. I taught both of my kids from the beginning about love by me just holding them as babies when they weren't able to say, I love you, looking in their eyes and saying, I love you over and over again. And that helped them to trust me. It started a line of trust and communication. And I continued that. So that's why it was easy for him to be able to come to me and tell me what he was experiencing in school. And that's so important. That is some of the support that the child needs. They need to know that they can come to you and that they can trust you. And that ultimately, with the parent as the leader, we're the first trainers and the first teachers for them. And so they look highly to us to protect them and to, for them to be able to trust us. Again, it's that peace that they're looking for. So me as an adult, not knowing and understanding, I was experiencing bullying at the same time and had been for many years in the workplace. And so that's why I said I had to get myself together. So I had to find things and ways to encourage myself to be able to help him. So I had been reading the Bible for many years at that point, and I started studying the scriptures then so that I could understand what I could give him to help him and to inspire him and to encourage him. And so every morning before he caught the bus to school, we would say two things: I love you, and pray without ceasing. At the end of the school day, when he would come to me, he would call me and say, Mom, he was letting me know he was home. This was his first year of being home by himself for an hour or so before everybody else got home. So when he would say, Mom, I knew what kind of day he had by the way he said, Mom. And my heart would just fall. So I had to learn how to deal with my trauma, but I couldn't deal with that until many years later. I had to deal with what he needed at that time, with what he needed at that time. And so later years of going through so much, still on the job, different jobs, bullying by other adults, me not understanding what it was for me, because I thought the same thing other people think. Kids. It's not just kids. It is not just kids. We hurt each other. Hurt people because we're not dealing with our trauma. When we have triggers of the past, we have to deal with those triggers. If we don't deal with the triggers, to ultimately end up dealing with the trauma, we won't have peace. We hide it. We let it go. Oh, that was years ago. It doesn't matter how many years ago. If we don't deal with it, if we, as they say, sweep it under the rug, guess what? It's going to come back. It's going to recycle until we say, okay, enough is enough. Let me deal with this issue. Again, peace. Peace is what we desire. Peace is what a lot of people desire. I was a baby. My mom was 16 when she had me. She was learning how to deal with herself as a teenager and all the things that a teenager deal with. So at the age of 16, she had me, and I desired love from her. And she didn't get that. So somebody had to be the change agent, and that was me. I was the chosen one. That's why I was holding my baby saying, I love you. It's not that my mom didn't love me, but she gave what she knew to give, and she was dealing with a lot herself. I understand that. I'm not saying anything bad about my mom. She did what she knew to do. I did what I knew to do. And my kids with their children are doing what they know to do or what they choose to do. So I just want to say that love is something I was looking for. Peace is something we were looking for, peace is something that we have to have in order to deal with. Once we deal with the trauma, once we deal with the triggers and the trauma, then we have peace, and we can help other people. I can't give you help if I have not had help. What do they say on the airplane? Put your oxygen mask on first, and then put the other person's oxygen on. So we have to have our cups filled first. Once we have our cups filled, then we can give to somebody else, but not until then. So I just want to say that I find peace a lot in journaling. I find peace a lot in reading inspirational books, listening to inspirational speakers, motivational speakers. I find ways to find peace. Listen, I even find peace. This is exciting to me because I can hear it now. I love listening to running water and chirping birds first thing in the morning. And it starts my day. It puts my day in a mode of peace. This is what I'm looking for. And so that's another thing that I do. And sometimes, I listen to different types of music. Sometimes that's not enough. So I do things to get me to a certain place in my mind that I want to be in, a calm place. So whatever, music I'm listening to, maybe that's not getting me there. So I continue to keep seeking and searching for things until I find the peace that I'm looking for. So that is what I want to share. We must deal with our trauma. We must help our children and other children to get to the place of peace. But first we have to fill our cups. Peace.
Instructions. Ooh. Well, I warned you. Peace is what we all desire. I dare you to lie. Go look in the mirror and tell yourself that ain't true. Tell yourself that ain't true. That I haven't not met one person in my journey that has not desired peace in one way, shape, or form. Yeah. I would like to real quick before you share some thoughts, acknowledge something that she talked about, and it is Bully Prevention Month. And she spoke of the loss of a young life, and that's what triggered, to be even more passionate on that cause. And I just want to take some time, if we can, a couple seconds, a pause, because we have a couple people actually on this platform who have had some losses this week. And one of them was, that I know of, one of them was a suicide. There was 4 losses within the last week of youth. 3 in Topeka. We have some activators in Topeka, Regina Platt, Dr. Regina Platt, Corey Fox, and many others. And they're serving their community and trying to help with these problems that are going on. And Activate Your Power Now, we have launched Activate Your Power Now Topeka to just help collaborate with them, those boots on the ground already, and see what we can do to help bring peace, the awareness of peace and how they can own peace in their world, even with all that going on around them. So if we could just pause for a couple seconds and peaceful prayer for them. We give thanks for the awareness and for the willingness of us all to show up today and speak our personal truth, to help share this awareness and spread accountability. Because I feel like that's going to be a common theme in today's speeches, right? That accountability. Peace is yours to do. Peace is yours to have. Don't wait for someone to bring you peace or for something to bring you peace. James, can you share some stuff?
Peace. First of all, is speaking about bullying is, that's one of those things that it hits home for me. And in the situation of how Isabel and I met was through a Speakers Academy. And through one of my first times getting up and actually speaking, I was shaking so bad. She was breathing for me before I even stepped on stage. But then sitting and reflecting on that, I grew up with a speech impediment. So I had so much trauma built in because every time I would speak in a group or to somebody else, there was times where it came with a backlash of being bullied because I didn't speak or sound right. I stuttered or spoke too fast. They couldn't understand me. So, and then that's one of those times where you just push it to the side and you say, as a kid, I'm crying, whatever, and over time you just repress it because now you don't want anybody to see that side of you, so you just push it down and you push it down and you push it down, and then come situations where now you want to live your life, but yet you still have this red alert that comes on board when it's time for you to do certain things like speaking in front of people. So now all of a sudden I'm getting I'm getting hit with a 2x4 when it's time for me to speak, and I'm trying to understand and try to calm myself down and realize, why am I so anxious right now? Why am I so on the edge right now? But it's that past coming into the present, and it's a lesson, but within it, it's also a blessing as well, because now I'm able to embrace it. Now I'm able to sit with it. Now I'm able to reflect on it and actually start the healing process of it, because you say it's like, in order for us to, like for these kids to, gain the strength to stand in their power, even when they are being bullied, it takes the adults to recognize their own past trauma and also their present trauma if they're being bullied in the moment, and going within and finding their own peace, and then reflecting that to their kids and to their children around them and being that example. So for me, it was like, well, now it's time for me to be the example. It's time for me to send love to the inner child within myself and say that, yeah, that was an experience that I had, but it doesn't define me as I am in the present moment. I can sit with that, and I can accept that part of me by embracing it and let it go. So there's many situations and many experiences that we may have, and again, going back to our past where we have been bullied for how we were, how we looked, how we showed up, what we did, what we didn't do. And there's times where we can repress it, but only up to a certain amount, because now it's going to come up.
Right.
And now it's up to us to take that action. What do we do? Do we keep on suppressing it, or do we embrace it? Right. And now you have a situation in your life where you can't suppress it because you got little ones that look up to you.
Yes.
Right. So now that causes you, now you got to have that inner strength. You got to be brave and say, okay, I got to face myself.
Yeah.
Right. I got to tap in deep into that peace and allow it to radiate through me.
Yeah.
So it can radiate to him.
Yeah. Yes.
So
when you find yourself there in that place and you're revisiting those past traumas, I took note on Stephanie too. She gave us a lot of good stuff too. She was talking about her baby. But when those traumas surface or those hard times, cradle it like a baby. Give it the love. Tell it I love you too. It's okay, right? You're here. It's our reality. But I'm gonna love you for being that in my life. And then set it free. And you set it free by just maintaining that intentional peace. For me, it's just gratitude, right? When I said, when I gave myself to the Lord and said, Lord, I surrender. I'm ready to stand true in my beliefs, Lord. I'm ready to stand firm in them. I believe that you are the creator and the source, and I'm here to serve you. My only responsibility is, right, to be present and to be accountable and to be willing.
Amen.
And with all of that being said, without a practice, we can fall into the numbness. What happens when you don't feel anymore? What happens when life stops affecting you? That's a dangerous place to be. The beautiful part about it, guys, you're not alone. We hear you, we see you, we feel you, and we want to help you, not fix you. Just make a safe space. A safe space for you to feel again, right? Sometimes when we can't feel internally, it requires for us to feel externally. And our next speaker, she devotes because of her own story. We all have a story. And then somewhere in that story, there's pain. And I can't remember exactly who connected us, but I'm just so grateful that they did connect us. And since we've met and she's opened my eyes to this, we've never had this discussion, but it just reminds me of, it brought me to the awareness of how numb I was for so long. And like I said, sometimes how the physical touch, we need something physical to remind us we're still here existing. I won't say too much. I'm going to let Sarah speak for herself, but we are in for a treat once again. And have your notebooks ready. I'd like to introduce Sarah.
Hello, everyone. I love going not first because I get to hear what everybody else has to say, and the whole time you all are talking, I'm like, oh, yeah. Not only do we all kind of speak on some similar things, but also helps me reframe what I was going to say. Some of the same words. No, Izzy just said the word numb. I'm like, oh, numb was something. Swept under the rug, that was something. And Christine, while you were talking about relationships, I was like, oh, relationships. It's a huge part of what I'm going to talk about today. And James, I just get stuck in his voice, like, because it's just smooth like butter. So I'm sure you said something in there too, James. I'm going to tell you a story today about, I will tell you, I'm going to look at time. I'm like if I don't know time, I get lost. So I'm going to just occasionally look. If you see me looking really hard at the screen, that's what I'm doing, because otherwise I get anxious. So it's a pretty big story. And it's something I think that touched on a lot of things that we've talked about. And so I have not spoken to my father in 3.5 years. I did. One time this last year, he sent me a message on Messenger and said, Happy Thanksgiving. And I had so many petty things I wanted to say just to kind of stick it to him. And my sister looked me in the eye, and I responded and I said, Happy Turkey Day. And I left. That's the one message I sent my father in 3.5 years. And it took me probably 20 minutes to respond to him in a way that was loving enough for me to be able to do it in a way that I knew I could walk away and be okay. But I had to find my peace first before I could do this. I couldn't just, what I wanted to do was pop off the cuff and say some really, and not things that would be disrespectful, but things I knew that would just ding him, just enough. So 3.5 years. There's a lot of reasons I haven't spoken to my father in 3.5 years. Like, I think Christine, you mentioned, there's those family members that sometimes it's just more peaceful for us to say, I can love you from a distance. I can love you every single day of my life, every breath of my breath. I love you. And I can't let you in my energy because it's hard for me to love myself sometimes when you're in my energy. My dad's not a bad person. He's a wonderful man. He's a man, though. He's a human. He humans the best he can human, and it's just not the way that I human. That's it. That's all. So anyway, over the years, I've come to a degree of peace about my relationship with my father. So much so that this last year, he actually was battling cancer. And when I heard this, I had no real reaction. And at first I thought it was numb, because as he was talking about numb, I'm like, was I numb to it? Was I numb to this man? And no, I wasn't numb. It was that I had learned already to love him from such a distance, that I knew how to send him love, how to pray for him, how to do all the things that I knew I could do and still maintain myself, that I could maintain my peace while he was going through this. Now, I do want to say that if at any time in this situation my father had called me or anyone had said, Dad needs a ride to the hospital, he lives in Tennessee, guys. I would have dropped every single thing I was doing and made sure my father had a ride to the hospital, whatever that took. So it wasn't that I didn't care. It was that I needed to maintain my own peace for my family. So this is all great, good, right? We're at a place where I'm at peace. I'm going through my life. People know I don't speak with my father. I know I don't speak with my father. I've had this whole thing. It's been, and then I went to go visit this last week. Driving into this last week, I knew, I was like, I'm going to have all the material I need. It is good. So I go to my auntie's house, who is his sister. She's the family member, the distance, she's the closest. We are like cut from the same cloth. I do not know how we are not twins. Like, we are so similar. And so we actually were able to have a good sit down. I'm not really close with any of my extended family, but she's one who's always worked to maintain that connection with me. We sat down and we had a conversation. And I was telling her things, and she said, Sarah, I never knew that. Because she asked me, where did this happen with your father? When did this happen with your father? We didn't even know. We didn't know until a few years ago that you guys even had a problem. What happened? And so I realized that there were a lot of things that had never been talked about. In my circle, they had been. My friends know, my family knows, my husband knew, my children know. Because we don't hide things in our family. We're very open, because those lines of communication that we nurture with our children are so important. So I'm talking to my auntie, and she just asked me a question. I said, oh my gosh, there's so much that's been left unsaid. There's so many hard conversations that I wasn't able to have because I was operating from that wounded child place that James brought up. I was still stuck in my little Sarah. Why couldn't you? Why didn't you? I hurt. Where were you? I hadn't allowed my adult self, who's looked at the trauma and looked in the mirror and done the journaling. And I spend my days teaching people how to handle emotions and how to communicate. That is what I do. That is what people pay me to do. And I realized I had not been doing that with this man. All I told him was, I tried to have a conversation. He didn't hear me, and I shut the door. Now, there were a lot of other things that happened to fully shut the door, but that particular moment was when I decided I was done. So, talking with her, I realized, holy cow, he doesn't even know why I'm mad. Because the way that I have to speak to him is not the way that I would speak to a lot of other people. I have to speak to him in a way that he can hear me, which isn't how I speak. He has to be spoken to in a way that softens for him, because he's dealing with a lot of other feelings that I don't know about. So I have to show up in my biggest, truest, big girl britches, most loving, momming, nurturing self to my father. So, time. Oh, doing good, guys, doing good. Okay. so that's what came up this week for me. And then I started thinking about this idea of peace. So I'm going to kind of take a little road trip here just for a second, because I really like to discuss the idea of energy and emotions. They go together. So energy is like our human body has a certain frequency, right? And then we're always talking about high vibes and low vibes and this and that. So you guys know this stuff, right? Different energy or different emotions have different energy. And so I'm over here feeling at peace with the decisions I've been making, but there's this undercurrent. This undercurrent that's going down because I've never really been able to be heard by my father. I've never been able to communicate in a way that he was able to hear me, and maybe he never will. I don't know. We'll find out this next week because I'll get there. But I had this undercurrent, and I was thinking, like, okay, so what vibration does peace vibrate at? Turns out peace vibrates at about 600 hertz per second, way up here. Whereas other things like fear, when I think of my father, or pain or hurt, vibrate 100 or less. So there's this undercurrent of all these low vibration things happening because I've never really been able to connect in this way with this man. I want to get to peace. I'm at peace majority of my life. That's where I live. I love it when something comes up. Thankfully, as Christine said, I've taken the time to do the reflection so I can look at myself and go, wow, you were acting like an infant there, weren't you? Like, you were really mean to that person. It is time that you take a really nice big deep breath and collect yourself so you don't do that again. But so anyway, I've had this undercurrent of low current, kind of like rip current. You know, you're in the ocean and everything on the top looks so beautiful and so shiny and sparkly, but then there's this undercurrent that kind of like pulls the sand out from underneath you, and it keeps pulling the sand out from underneath you. No matter what relationship you're getting into, this old trauma keeps coming up, and this thing keeps coming up. And for me, it's an abandonment thing. I felt abandoned. by some of the actions that he took. He never intended that. I know he didn't. No father ever would in the entire face of the planet. He did not intend that. And if he watches this, he'll be gutted by that statement. But it's my truth. You know, so anyway, I got to that by talking with his auntie. And then I reached out to my dad. I haven't talked to the man beyond Happy Thanksgiving in 3.5 years. And I reached out to him. I said, Dad, it took me probably 45 minutes to write this text, because this is where we're at in our relationship, guys. Don't judge. All right. 45 minutes. And I thought I had just constructed the world-renowned, most amazing, neutral, incredible text message to the entire Facebook world. And all he could simply say is, oh my gosh, Sarah, I'm so happy to see you. I love you. Thank you for reaching out. Not at all what I got, by the way, guys, because he's living in a different energy. So I had the choice of, I could go where he went, I could join him, or I could step outside of my little child self again, take some really nice big deep breaths, take a shower, go for a drive, do whatever I need to do, cry my tears, and respond. We got to a spot where he actually asked us to meet, me and my sister, but then whatever reason, I don't know why, that was changed. And so my initial text message was, hey Dad, I'm gonna call you sometime next week. I need to get my emotions back to neutral before I can have a conversation with you. And I just want to give you a heads up so you can do the same thing, because we need to have some really hard conversations like adults, and I love you. And I want to be able to have those. So here's a heads up for you. So circle back around this morning, he sends me another message, and it was, he was upset, hurt. He's older, he's ill. I get it. It's fine. He's allowed to feel that. I'm allowed to still choose peace though. Every single moment of that conversation. He was upset. So I said, okay, Dad, I'll call you next week. It was a whole thing, guys. Like, we were going to Tennessee. We were going to Texas. We were doing all these things. There were all these plans being made. We were checking dates, looking at flights. And then he got upset and wrapped it up, threw it in the toilet. And my only response was, okay, Dad, I'll call you next week. I went back to, okay, Dad, I'll call you next week. Get some rest, please. You said you're tired. I care for you. And that's one thing we have to keep in mind whenever we're dealing with people and dealing with relationships, is sometimes it is time to step away. I did not have the energy, the wherewithal, the skills. I didn't have the skills to be able to handle the situation in a way that I was proud of, or that was going to move us forward. And that's one thing I did tell him. I said, Dad, I'm scared to fly to Tennessee, and then we can't even be in the same room for 30 seconds. That is terrifying to me. Like, can we start with a phone call? Can we start there, please? Like, we don't need grand gestures here. Let's just start with a phone. But yeah, so I had to get the skills. I had to gain the skills. I had to do the self-reflection. And now I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, I am calling on my higher power for assistance to help me be able to say the things that I needed to say in a way that's light enough and loving enough, not pointing blame, so I can be heard and say, and I still love you. I still love you. And I still somehow in some kind of way want you in my life. Maybe not having birthday parties together at Six Flags or something. I don't even know where that came from. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't need to be cuddled up on the couch watching movies together. I still want you in my life. And no matter what that looks like, I'm going to do my very best to make sure that that happens. We'll see how he receives it. It's a toss-up, guys. But I'm going to do my best. And that's how we find peace, is by doing what we need to do. You know, our highest big girl panty britches. Or big boy panty britches. So yeah, that's, wish me luck. Cross the fingers. Cross the fingers. Send me your prayers so I can love on this man even when he's in pain. And yeah, so think about that vibration. Think about meeting those frequencies, and thank you. I appreciate you listening to my story.
I know you were great. It's so good. We're right at an hour, so we're doing really good today. It takes real vulnerability and real accountability to be able to step in front of a live stream. You know, if it was just us, I could see, but to step on a live stream and be that vulnerable, that's how you find true peace. Right? We're not running from things anymore, guys. And you know what? Like I always say, At Activate Your Power, we believe in no right or wrong. We believe in what is, taking what is, acknowledging it, and then utilizing it. Don't set it aside and say, oh, yeah, that happened, but now I can move on over here. No, you grab it, you use it, that same very thing, and you navigate moving forward using it so that it works for you, not against you.
Yep.
That was a very vulnerable share. Thank you for that. And we absolutely will be praying for you, lifting you up, lifting your father up, and that love frequency, that peace frequency, and resolve is already here, right? We just need to surrender and know that all is well.
Exactly. Because really, every day my intention since I've been walking this healing path is to only love whatever may arise in my life. And love takes its many different forms, right? Because there was a time in my life where I barely spoke to my dad for about 7 years. 7 years holding on to grudges and resentments. And, as a young man or as a kid growing up, you have this expectation of how a parent should be. And when they don't live up to that expectation, now, that causes dissonance, right? So growing up, it's like, well, you did this. You should have been this. Why weren't you this? I felt this pain because I'm blaming on you. I point the fingers to you. But I had to sit down and during my own healing process and healing path, God put it on my heart that, he was 22 when he had me.
Right.
He didn't know any better. He was doing the best with what he had. And to learn to accept that as is, because all that, it can be used as a catalyst to make me stronger and grow me into the man I am today. So sitting with that and it just really hit me deep, and I was able to really let go of those attachments to what was and what it should have been, and just accept it as what it is.
Yes.
And then from there, that gave me peace. That freed me.
Yes.
It allowed me to really have those hard conversations. Because in the past, I didn't have those skills. But as I walked the healing path, I was cultivating those skills of greater acceptance and understanding and greater love for myself, which then radiated to greater love of other people in my life, because I know they were bringing experiences for me to learn my lessons.
Right.
And seeing it as is, that gave me the strength. So, there's a lesson in everything, right? And through those lessons, there's lessons that come along with that. Because now on the other side, I'm able to have a real close relationship with him and tell him things I can't tell other people.
Yeah.
Because now I'm more open to it.
Yeah.
So there's so much love pouring between us right now that wasn't there before. But now it's open. That channel is open because I challenged myself to have those hard conversations.
Yeah.
And now we're both able to grow and learn and love. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for being vulnerable.
And to add to that, with all that being said, the practice is being that love, right? Having a greater understanding of true love, and that practice of being present in that and showing up in that regardless. But that does not mean, like Christina said, that you keep showing up in places where you're not honored. See, I'm the type of person, since a young girl, I heard respect. That I got to a point in my life where I no longer wanted people to respect me. I want you to honor me. And I honor you. I honor every single vessel that I encounter. I don't respect you. That does come with experience, time, different things and stuff. But that honor, knowing that everything that was created in me was created in you. Freedom of choice is what separates us two. And so it's being aware of who's honoring you, who is lowering your vibration, making you feel less than when you're in their presence, over and over again. Because you can love from a distance. You actually can love better from a distance when there's things to be cleaned up. And the cleaning up is never the other person getting themselves right. The cleaning up is a self journey.
Yes.
Clean yourself up.
Yep.
Clean your vision. Clean your, again, goes back to all the senses. If we can clean them all up, have that grand why, it's going to keep us accountable in our practices, our day-to-day practices. But yes, thank you. There's so many people that it's one thing getting bullied at school, but who do you go to when it's your parents bullying?
Yeah.
Especially like me, where I'm the first marriage set of kids. Oh, don't you dare share your truth. It's gonna get you're the bitter one. You're the one, the one that didn't work, the one that I had to learn as a parent. I had to learn this as an adult too and give grace. And where I found myself facing myself in that, honestly, was when raising my children, they're all adults now. But I got to be on the other side of that, of being my own human being, trying to navigate this world and figure out who I am and what my purpose is. Why would I ever think that my parents were any different? Maybe even a little bit more pressure on them, because now we have avenues, support systems. I'm looking at coaches and trainers in this room, and stuff, and we have different avenues. They really didn't. If you was deemed with those mental problems, emotional problems, like my mom in the 60s, 70s, you're going to a mental house. You're not gonna disrupt society. So it's important to know where you belong, where you need to love from a distance. But the note here is to just remain in love. Do some research on what that can mean for you. If you don't know, come reach out to us. We'd love to talk. Anybody on the Activate Your Power Now platform, we would love to share space with you. So you're not alone. We have one more speaker today. We weren't sure if she was going to make it because she had a medical emergency, but we're so glad to see her. She's looking beautiful. And we're going to actually turn the camera to her. She's a little restricted in her movement here, and I'll let her do her share on what's going on. But you're in for a treat. This next lady, A.Y.P.N.T.R.U.E, we actually met each other a couple years ago as well. We didn't have a one-on-one, but I got to see her in her element, which was at a Toastmasters that I was invited to. And I saw this very confident person just doing what she does, right? She's here to serve. She's here with a message, and she's here to help you learn to navigate your life and be successful in what it is you choose to do. But I remember meeting her or seeing her at Toastmasters and thinking, wow, she's a little firecracker. She gets out there and she knows what she's going to say, and she lets you know what she's going to say. But I had the pleasure of having a one-on-one and meeting with her just this past year after a BTBY experience. And getting to know her has just made me really value her so much more, because today's a perfect example of it. Life doesn't stop dishing out dirt. I mean, that's just the reality it feels like, right? But to have that heart, to have that conviction, to keep showing up, because it's that understanding that it's not what we're going through, right? It's how we choose to go through it and what we choose to do with it. So today, even though she's probably in pain and some discomfort, she's here to share what true peace means to her with us. So I'm going to turn the camera, just give us a quick minute, and we're going to hear from Cherie Berger. Get it adjusted. Okay, I think, is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
All right.
Can't see the time. I'm sure you'll keep me.
I will.
Isabella, thank you so much for having me. And she asked me a couple months ago to actually give this presentation. And I have been through, I was going through trials and tribulations. I call them Job moments. This last probably year and a half, and then the last 5 months, everything has crashed. It's been horrid. And then to make things worse, this week on Tuesday, I got served. So anyway, I don't want to say much more about that except for keep me in prayer. And then 3:00 in the morning, because yesterday I drank probably too much coffee. And I usually drink these big things of water, and I drink 4 of them in a day, and I probably only drank 2. Coffee dehydrates you. And after a crappy week this week, I decided to have a couple glasses of wine with my friend over here. So in the middle of the night, I got, what do you want to call it? You ever get one of those cramps in your leg? And so I wanted to go drink some pickle juice or something to get rid of my cramp, knowing I might be a little dehydrated. And randomly, I pull out 3 in the morning. My dog thinks she needs to go out, so I put her out and everything. And I have this bad cramp I'm trying to get rid of. So anyway, there's little jars in your refrigerator. In case you guys don't know, you have to find a pickle jar at 3 in the morning, and all you want to do is be sleeping and you're in pain. I finally get it out. I'm not sure if I drank it before or after the incident, but randomly I fell backwards, and so now I have a bloody, silly. What is it called?
Chin.
Yeah, I have a bloody chin, and then I, of course, am Superwoman. And you just go with the flow. Life happens, guys. And I told Isabel I'd be here, and she kept going, you can just go home and rest. Yeah, right. Commitment, I do what I say. So there's the long story, but I was not going to go to the ER. My nurse friend said, you probably fractured your foot, but it probably didn't break it because I told her, well, I could still walk and stuff. But no, I broke it, and I broke it very clean, and I have a really bad break. And now I get to go to the orthopedics. It's a lot. It's been a lot, I'll be real, but I'm here. So today, that's what I want to talk about. Life has many ups and downs that causes us stress, worry, and anxiety. And the stuff I'm going through is causing a lot of that right now. But if we're not going through a trial today, don't worry, guys, you'll get one tomorrow.
Right.
That's how it works. So one is coming, and there'll always be trouble in this world. And it's easy to get caught up in that stress and worry when faced with difficult situations. But God wants you to experience real peace in your heart. He doesn't want our minds to be filled with anxiety thoughts about the future or be stressed about our current situation like I'm in right now. He wants us to rest in his love and be content with who we are and what we have. And then we will experience a different kind of peace. Then that the world does not offer. The world doesn't offer peace. We always say we want peace on earth. Okay, that'd be great if we had no bullying, we had no drama, that would be awesome. But y'all live in a bubble? What the heck? That's not how life works. I could talk about my fear of public speaking, but that's for a whole nother scenario because I too was bullied by kids. But I also know adults do it. But back to my real peace. So when you're in a trial, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Why me? Why is this happening? How will I get through it? And then you can even have tears and hurt in the process. Can I be honest? I've had a lot. I've worried. There's a lot going on right now in my life, and I don't have control of what's going on. But changing our mindset and thoughts is what we do and what's important. So, how about if we say, what's God teaching us in this? Ooh. I had this dear friend, Norma Hill. She's now in heaven. She would listen to me. I'd be like, my children are doing this. My husband's doing this. Work's doing this. Blah, blah, blah. And she'd go, well, what's God teaching them this? No. Norma, did you not hear what I just said? She goes, yeah. She'd say it all back to me. And then she'd say what God's teaching us in that. So why don't we say that? What's God teaching in this? And how can I grow through this? How can I grow through this? Yes, it's called growing pains. We talked about people having growing pains as childs. We talked about now, and we talked about all different situations. It'll be great to see what God's doing in this. We never know. And it'll be fun to find out. And how can I learn to trust God more through this circumstance? Do you remember Paul? He said to be content in all circumstances. And he was in prison. We can only find peace through God in our relationship with God. True peace is God.
Yes.
People had a lot of great ideas that we could find peace in as well. But ultimately, God, right? And you can spend more time with God through this trial and become closer to him in the end. I'm in a house right now, a big house all by myself. It has floors. I don't even know what I'm going to do. But I haven't felt alone because I have the Holy Spirit. I have God. And I have Jesus in the house. And I have a dog in my house just so God can remind me the dog backwards is God, right? So many things try to take away our peace. But things and circumstances cannot take away true peace. God peace I'm talking about. I'm not talking about situation peace. So if we put our hope and trust in God for peace, we will not have to go through this on our own strength, but with God's strength. True peace will come despite your circumstances. With His help, you can experience a peace that suppresses all understanding. A peace of God which suppresses all understanding will guard your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:7. Some ways to experience true peace in Christ comes from obeying God and looking for His guidance through this trial or tribulation or circumstance, offering sincere repentance when necessary, and serving others that are walking their walk in Christ. Or if they don't know Christ, right? We talked about that. Helping them through their own trials and tribulations when you're going through your own, which is what I try to do every day. And seeking a deeper, more intimate relationship with the Lord. Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to have a lot of tears and hurt. And remember that God is collecting every one of your tears in a jar. And He's there and He understands. Do you remember when He said, "Take this cup from me"? God, if this is your will. When Jesus said that, when He had to die on a cross. Do you think He wanted to do that? No. And His disciples all fell asleep instead of praying with them. I'm just making a synopsis of what we've learned in the Bible over the years. So He will comfort you through this crazy time in your life. And crying is part of the process. It's part of the healing. And I'm not saying it's not good. It's necessary. Being stressed and worried and anxiety about what you're going through is normal. But learning to lay it at God's feet, breathe. I've been listening to meditation scripture at night, and they have you breathe in and breathe out and stuff like that. And that's how I go to sleep at night right now. And learning our surrender prayer. I have it in my office, right? God grant me the strength to accept things I can't change. The courage to change the things I can. And the wisdom to know the difference. And if you're anything like me, it's easier said than done. I want to know what's happening. How will I get through it? And what is that end result? Can you please tell me, God? Anyone who knows me knows I'm a coach. And I help people create custom roadmaps to create the life and business that they love and getting them from here to there so that they have that life and business. So I help people set up a plan. And of course, I like to have control of my own plan. But when your life is unpredictable circumstances, you need to lean into God. Another one of my favorite sayings is let go and let God. I had that on the front of my car one time, and people would always say, "That's great." I was going through a trial, and I was having to let go and let God. It was there for me, not for you, but thanks for noticing. And then people would say, when you're driving, don't let go and just let God. But when you're driving your life, let's let go and let God at Sometimes we struggle to control situations. I know I do. I don't know about you. But you know who's really in control? God. God's in control. Even when you break your foot, even when you have a crappy week, even when you keep having things happen in your life. So remember to change. Remember when we're going through a trial, the first things that come to our mind, why me? We really should say, why not me, right? To be honest. Because if we got what we deserved and God hadn't died for us, can you imagine what we get? And why is this happening to me? And I'm so stressed. And how will I even get through this? And there's a lot of tears and hurt. But remember to change it. What's God teaching me in this? As my friend Norma Hill always said to me, I always say I have a Norma Hill in the back of my head. How can I grow through this? Yes, growing pains. And it'll be great to see what God is doing in this. And remembering crying is part of the process. Do you know that crying is not a weakness? It's a strength. It's a strength to cry. And God wants you to cry out to him. So I wish you peace, growth, and amazing things that can happen through your trials in life. And that God will guide you in the process, in the good and the bad times. Like I said, if you're not in a bad situation, don't worry. It's coming soon.
Yeah. I'll give you a hug real quick before I move it. Oh my God. That was wonderful. Thank you for showing up. We appreciate you. And this is the thing.
I forgot to add this morning, I called Isabella, she prayed, and she was giving me my whole presentation that I'd already written, and I was like, will you stop stealing my thunder?
The truth is truth.
That's right. It doesn't change. And we all have Norma Hill in the back of our head now. But you know, it's thank you, Norma, for sharing that great message with Cherie, because now she got to share it with all of us. And what is God teaching me right now? Like, if we could keep asking ourselves that question through the good and the bad. What if we do it even on the in-between? What if we do it on the in-between? What happens when we feel real good and some days we just are so heavy, but we forget about all the in-between? There's a lot of days that exist in between that. It's a muscle memory. You know, our brains, our hearts, they're no different than the muscles that we practice. I think of my daughter who played softball, competitive softball, went to college to play. And I remember taking her to a pitching coach. And my daughter's like me, we're little Miss Know-It-Alls. So we don't really need coaches telling us what to do. But that was pre-intentionality, guys. But I remember I took her, right, I'm paying this coach good money to teach my daughter how to pitch, be a better pitcher, learn some skills and stuff. And she wouldn't allow my daughter to hold a ball in her hand while she started for the first couple of weeks of lessons. And my daughter's like, Mom, I don't know, it's okay. You know, we don't have to come. We're driving a long way. And she's like, she just couldn't comprehend how everyone else that had helped her learn how to pitch, she had to have a ball in her hand. But this coach explained to her that you put the ball in your hand after you got the muscle memory and control. Otherwise, you're throwing balls everywhere. We're not learning how to get the ball to a certain place. We're learning muscle memory. So she had her something with a sock. I can't remember what, but she had to have a sock every day and do 100 reps every day of a certain movement. And then when she got that movement right, they can move on to holding the ball in the hand. And I think that's just wonderful advice, is that muscle memory on every day, but especially on the in-between. Don't wait till you're super happy to give thanks. Don't wait till you're super sad and heavy to ask God what what you're receiving from him in that day, in that moment, in that experience, in that encounter of a human being, in that encounter of a place you go, anything. If we could just keep that connection. I mean, you could just feel the connection as Sherry was speaking, as it was just, he was flowing through her, right? It's that intentional connection. If you're going to be a believer, be intentional about it. You know, that's really just all it is. Just be intentional about it. And it'll create that muscle memory, so when you do have those difficulties, as Sherry said, you can still show up in life. More than show up, you can come pour into others while you're still healing, because you have that greater understanding. It's not your strength.
Muscle memory. That is, to me, that's the bridge right there. That is the bridge. Now that takes you from why me to why me, right? It's like that mindset. Really, you have to release the old mindset of being a victim of life and being a victim of your circumstances, and then changing it to, okay, what is this teaching me?
Yep.
How can I learn?
Yep.
How can I grow?
Right.
So that's every opportunity you have a chance to approach that with that mindset, and then train your mind to see it in that light. So that's where the muscle memory comes from, because you, like you said, you can't control everything in your external environment, but you can control how you show up, right? And how you show up is based off your personal relationship with that source within you, within God, within you, within the higher power that sources through you, because that higher power is all good. It's all grace, it's all love, it's all abundance, it's all peace. So if you open yourself up to that, now you're showing up in that the best way you can, the best capacity that you can hold in that moment. So you're always seeing it from that situation, and that's the challenge in itself. The muscle memory, doing the reps with every opportunity, just saying, what can I learn from this situation? How can I show up and be love and be peace and be courage and be bravery and all these characteristics and qualities that I want to radiate in my life and see in other people. So just really, it's like life is a roller coaster. There's ups and downs, and there's twists and turns. You don't know what to expect, and that's a part of it, right? If you got everything that you wanted in every moment, life would be boring. It's that contrast. It's that contrast. It's seeing what I can do in that moment, seeing what I can bring out inside of me in that moment. That brings excitement to it. So just sitting with that.
So what does all of this mean to all of you, right? I guess we reached that point. It's, of course, Activate Your Power Now. We're a platform where you can authentically be you and share a piece of your truth. We have monthly topics. So I like for people to show up where they resonate, where they feel they've really healed through something or are in the process of healing, as we heard today. And just share with others so they know they're not alone in life. We're here. We want to hold space again. We want to listen, right? We want to see you, but you got to show up to be seen. You got to speak up to be heard. So all of us on the platform, once you have spoken, you're an activator, because I promise you, I don't get all the feedback, but I get a majority probably of the feedback after events. And there has not been an event, or there has not been a speaker that hasn't impacted somebody. There's always someone in the audience that resonates with at least one person on the stage. So just know that when you stand in your truth and you choose to declare it, you're helping other people be seen and feel not so alone. So we have, if you're not already an Activate Your Power Now member, please, if you're on social media, we're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I think that's it right now. Yeah. Follow us, get in contact with us, reach out to any activator, anybody. Like I said, we're not all coaches. A lot of them are. We're not all coaches, but we all are on a healing path, and we all want to make space for you. Follow us, and then also we have a workshop coming up, another workshop in December. So we did our first one, we did part 1, and we have part 2 coming up November 4th, but in December, stay tuned for the dates, because we keep talking about, right, having a process. Well, where do you start up, where do you even start in that process? That's probably the biggest question. At our workshop, we have, James and I have developed the I Dream Power Path process. So it's not us telling you what to do with your life. It's us making space for you to go into that self-discovery and create your personal, intentional power path process. So I invite you all to reach out if you want more information, but if not, look out for the dates. December, it's a 2-part workshop. We'll be putting out some information on that so you can get registered and come check us out.
And so I just want to leave you guys with a few things that I wrote about just finding peace. So, and this kind of correlates with what everybody said. Accepting what is, as is. Working with what you got. Stop comparing yourself to other people. You know, we have 333 million Americans here with 333 million unique paths that they're walking right now. Everybody's not going to be the same. So accepting yourself as you are, believing and knowing that life is always happening for you, not to you, but for you. That's that growth mindset. And through this, you learn not to take yourself, your past, and your life so serious. And just embrace life as it is. Because life is still happening regardless of what you think. So this is my nuggets of peace. And yes, catch us for the workshop in December. It's going to be another 2-part workshop where you can basically help discover your own limitations and transform them into empowering lifestyles.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming out. Thanks for
Go find your peace. Go
checking
be your
out.
peace.
Exactly. Peace.